But Giulio always like pranks me. So I'm like, I'm not thinking that I'm getting engaged. I think that there's like a flash mob that's going to show up at this lunch or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm prepared to be, I kept looking at the door. I'm like, are people going to get up and start dancing? Because I'm like prepared for you to embarrass the shit out of me for our 5-year anniversary, not propose. So I was like, if people start dancing, I'm going to fucking flip. Like that's how I felt.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Guys, welcome back to Oops the Podcast. Giulio Gallerati here for the finale of the engagement series. We've tried to give you guys as much detail into how everything went down. It's been fun so far. So this is it, our grand finale. And we have a very special guest today as well. But before we get to that, don't forget, I'm going to be at the House of Comedy in Detroit last weekend of September. Hereafter at the Crocodile in Seattle, Washington, October 14th. I also just added Oklahoma, Ohio, Kentucky, and Utah and St. Pete. Not Julio.com for those tickets. Those will all be before the end of the year. Some of them are up. Tickets are coming for the rest. Trying to add more stuff too, as you guys all know. So looking forward to seeing you at a city soon. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the show my fiance, Hillary. Hi, Hildog.
Hi.
Good to see you, honey.
Good to see you.
All is well?
All is well.
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed.
A little overstimulated?
Overstimulated. Yeah.
Talk about like what's up? Just like getting a lot of attention?
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to part 1 episode explaining. It's funny, like you were explaining all of the things that I would have felt, which is like, I don't love surprises, that I like fear overstimulation, but that also it's your day too. And you get to make it as special as you want. And it's your thing to plan. And I was laughing about that because I don't like surprises. I do get overstimulated, but also agree that it was your thing to plan. And it ended up being like the best surprise ever. Because for someone who doesn't like surprises, like getting got and like not thinking something's happening and a surprise being like successfully executed is so shocking. And it was so special. And I was so overwhelmed with happiness and excitement and love and all these things. But it's been a few days and like that sustained attention and excitement is so like valued and appreciated, but you're the public facing persona. Like I'm not used to that. And so I feel it's stimulating. It's just a lot of action, a lot of excitement. And I lean private. So it's it's been like so exceptional, but it's a lot. And I'm back on the podcast. So out there again I go. It shall continue.
It shall continue. So anyway, well, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
It's good to see you on the pod. Always fun. And listen, I'm not shy. Love you, a lot.
You're not shy. That is true.
I'm not, I can be, but I love you. I am excited about this, about our next step together.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so anyway, I want to talk a little bit about your...
We don't need a reenactment.
Okay. Hillary? No. But, I've just been curious to hear a little bit more about your perspective on the whole thing. Like, I know that you kind of started to sniff something was a little different at some point, and I'm curious if like you can... Because I was trying to articulate a bit on the last episode, but I know that you could probably do a better job since you were the one experiencing all those things. So I'd love to hear when you started to So this is what I want the itinerary of the episode to be. I want to hear when she started to get onto it. I want to hear about her experience during that actual day and when we went to lunch and all that stuff. And then I had another thought too, but I don't remember it. So
okay, sure, it'll come back.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. So anyway,
well, the first thing I want to say is like, for the record, because you were affectionate on the last episode too, and you just began and I stopped you, is that I do welcome your affection just in private. We don't need to
Oh yeah.
We don't need to be affectionate into the mic. So for
100%.
anyone listening that thinks I'm always like, enough, stop, I welcome it. But in
Spoken like a true
settings.
podcaster.
So your first question is like, was I expecting it or what?
So I know that you weren't expecting it, generally speaking, but you said that things started to sort of like add up in a way.
Things started to spiral.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes people don't believe me when, and it doesn't matter if they believe me or not, but they don't believe me when I say that I've like never expected a certain like timeline for engagement, or I've never felt like I needed a certain timeline or felt like you needed to be on a certain timeline. Like my friends are getting engaged and that's fun, but like I never felt like it was coming or that I needed to make it come faster. And so I just really had no expectation that
you never felt like you needed to make it come faster.
I knew you were going to say that and I thought you were going to let it go.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Oh my God.
Keep going. I'm sorry. We can cut that if you feel
no,
it's
like,
necessary.
it's just,
She's gonna walk out.
I'm like marrying you.
I know. She goes, really, honey, you're wearing the big G shirt for this episode?
With like holes in your sweatpants.
Hey, they can't see the sweatpants.
Well, I can.
I'm comfortable. Okay, well.
So anyways, I guess all that said, I had no anticipation, no inclination that this was happening. We were celebrating our 5-year anniversary. And I thought that we were going to keep it low key. I looked forward to chilling hard. We like don't spend that much chilling one-on-one time together because everyone's so busy and just travel and all these things and weddings and blah, blah. So I thought we were going to go to our favorite restaurant, Vic's, which we go to almost every weekend, and then just chill. And I was sensing pretty early on that you didn't want to just chill, that you wanted to make it a special day. And so the night before, I really didn't, not one thought had crossed my mind except Emily, my friend, was in town and she had stopped by to pick up a dress for a wedding. And it was weird. Like I've never thought twice about a friend asking me for a manicure, but she was like, oh, I really need my nails done. And I said, me too. And she's like, want to go? And ordinarily we would just have left it at that. And she didn't give it away at all whatsoever. Like I didn't think, oh, I'm getting engaged. Mm-hmm. I just was then like, oh, you know what's funny? Like now that I've thought twice about this, like she is in town. Like that would be convenient. We have been together for 5 years. Like GIULIO doesn't have shows tonight. Like we have a pretty free, tomorrow night we have a free day on Saturday. Like interesting. But then like, I was like quickly like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's ridiculous. Move on. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, I was like, you know what? If another person asks me for nails, I'll be like a little tipped off. But still, I don't really have a reason to because that's a normal thing for me to do on a Friday night. So another one of my girlfriends, Rebecca, we were going to do a workout class or whatever. And she's like, do you need nails after it? And I was like, what? Sure. And I was like, oh no, like, is this happening? So I moved on, and then she was like completely normal. She was actually so normal at the nail salon that I thought if you're getting your nails done for your friend just so that they can be prepared for an engagement, you don't care how yours look. Like you're going to go fast. Like you're just getting your nails done.
Interesting.
Rebecca saw one little like misaligned toenail and made them redo her entire feet or foot. And it took her like 30 minutes longer than me. And so I was thinking to myself as I'm drawing my nails, I'm like, all right, well, this is definitely not what this is about because you just want to get me in and out of there. You just want to make sure I have a manicure and you want to go.
Right.
She, when we were done, stopped and she was like,
clever.
oh, there's like one thing that's wrong. And she just started again. And I was laughing to myself. I'm like, okay, well, then there's no way that this is what it's for because she is like, she just redid her whole foot.
Right.
There's
Rebecca, you did good, kid.
Yeah.
And prayers up for Brad still.
Yeah.
The Jets season is not over yet.
I know. Poor Aaron Rodgers.
Poor Brad.
And poor Brad. Anyway,
very
so
hard.
that night.
Did you hear him? Because he works very hard.
He works very hard.
Brad works very hard.
Why are you saying that?
In the last episode, we talked about how Brad works very hard. His favorite thing is the Jets. And 7 minutes into the first game, poor fucking guy.
I know, that sucks. Brad was scared. She's texting me. She's like, are you watching this game? Because I'm scared if you don't hear from me tomorrow, it's because Brad killed me because Aaron Rodgers died. Wait, Wait, I said Brad killed me because Aaron Rodgers died. I didn't mean that. I meant because Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
Right. Aaron Rodgers is alive.
Aaron Rodgers is alive.
As far as we know, Aaron Rodgers is
Oh,
alive.
I just said that wrong.
I'll be honest with you, man. Ever since the plant boy and I have become as close as we are, and I don't know if you can see how many bulbs he has exploding out of him. It's an incredible miracle how big he's gotten.
He's massive.
But I've started to relate to all living things as things that are living. That may be completely obvious, but before, like, if I had a plant, I feel guilty saying this. If I have a plant and I didn't want it, like the idea of throwing it out isn't something that bothered me. The idea of throwing out the plant boy, dude, I might die. You know what I mean? I'm just very concerned about the environment in general, and all living things are beautiful and should be sort of cultivated and treasured. And that's why I'm very interested in living a more sustainable lifestyle, using less plastic, more stuff that can be reused, and more stuff that by using it doesn't mean that I'm making the environment worse. I was talking to the founder of Reboot Eco, Yasmin, and she was saying to me that every toothbrush that you've ever used in your entire life is still on the planet and will outlive you.
That's a strange fact. That's hard to
I
believe.
hated that one. I was like, dude,
weird.
that is terrible.
That's very terrible.
That is terrible.
Your Pop's toothbrush is somewhere near.
So yeah, that's why you should get in there, get yourself a nice bamboo toothbrush. You don't have to worry about the bottom of the toothbrush getting all crummy because they now paint the bottom of the toothbrushes. And that's the coolest thing about Reboot Eco products is they've kind of solved all the problems with the beta items that had first come out. For example, deodorant that doesn't work, or the toothbrush thing with the bottom getting all gross. And a variety of other things like the foaming toothpaste. Now the sort of sustainable all natural toothpaste actually foams in your mouth where the original one didn't. And there's a ton of cleaning products with biodegradable packaging or reusable packaging and stuff that will clean your apartment, will clean your clothes, keep you fresh, will keep your clothes fresh, will keep your apartment and your house fresh. That's why you need to go to rebooteco.com right now. Use promo code OOPS. You'll get 15% off of your order. That's REBOOTECO.com. Promo code OOPS, 15% off. Start living a more sustainable lifestyle today.
Anyway, so that night you came over with friends, whatever, normal, completely out of my mind, didn't think twice about it, completely forgot that I'd even had an inkling about this.
Oh, interesting.
I forgot, like, how fleeting these thoughts are. Like, I really didn't know. Like, I was just like, that's interesting.
Have you ever thought it before? Ever?
No, never.
Never, like, am I?
Never.
Okay.
Never once.
Okay.
Which is why having that thought last weekend, I was like, okay, well, like, all right. And it's not that I wasn't wishing for it, but like the distinction is that I wasn't a wish. Like I wasn't like, I hope he engages. This would be proposes. This would be the perfect weekend to get engaged.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait a second, is this happening? Also, excuse my like lack of eloquence. It's been a long day.
You sound very eloquent. As always.
Thanks, honey.
Love you.
So that night, when your friends had left,
Fucking Lynch over there.
when your friends had left, or our friends rather, we were like getting ready for bed. You were just so affectionate, and you're typically affectionate, but you were like, oh my God, let's go through 5 years of pictures together. It's our 5-year anniversary. Like we have to reminisce before it turns before we turn 5, basically. And I was like, okay, like, you know, I like humored you for a few, but I'm like, all right, like, you know, come on, like, how many more pictures are we going to go through? And then some of them I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to look at these. Like, let's just move forward. And I was like, what is up with him? Like, this is so insane. And then I was like, okay, whatever.
Would you like to look at some of the pictures?
Right now?
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So then you made me take selfies. You were like, let's document the night before our 5-year anniversary. And I was like, oh my God. Like this, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, of course. And it was really sweet, obviously. But I was like, what is going on here? Let it go. Went to sleep. Woke up. We had a nice morning, but we had a really late lunch reservation. And
Fucking hell.
It was so funny because I wanted to go earlier. I was like, what are we waiting for? But I had Emily in my brain. Oh, actually, I have another thought. But I had Emily, my friend, in my brain whose typical philosophy is like, don't go like fishing for something. Like if you think someone's trying to surprise you, if you think someone has something planned, unless it's, you know, not a nice thing or it's like a bad thing. But like in general, like kind of let people have it. Like, you don't have to go and search and find it out before something happens. It's not related to engagement. She just means in general. So she was in my head because I wanted to be like, why can't we go earlier to the restaurant? Like, why were you talking to this person?
You did do that.
Why?
So.
I know. Well, only a little bit. I could have pushed harder, and then I was like, I'll let him have it. You were like, because I want to go at 2:30, and I'm like, okay.
No, I said I'm tired.
You weren't tired.
I may have been.
You may have been. Anyway, so
And
I
then
didn't
also,
push.
but you're like, oh, your meeting yesterday?
Yes.
Did I cover my ground there?
I said, who did you meet with yesterday?
But then when I explained it, did it sound
I let
like
it go.
Did
Yeah.
it sound like it made sense though, at least?
It made sense.
Okay.
You've had a lot of meetings, but it made sense. What didn't make sense is that on Friday, so this is Saturday. On Friday, so GIULIO can't go to one of my best friend's weddings in a couple of weeks, and he told me, and I was really upset about it. And like that, a week later, so this past Friday, he texted me in the middle of the day saying, Casey, another one of my friends, told me I need to tell Claire immediately, because we had talked about it a couple days ago and you had wanted to wait until it was solidified, and it had just become solidified. So Casey was talking to you for whatever reason and told you that you needed to tell Claire immediately. And I let that go because one thing that I love is that like GIULIO and my friends have their own relationship. So I wasn't like digging into that, but Casey is not the type of person to do the following. So the next day I asked GIULIO, just a little teaser, see how he handled it. I was like, why were you talking to Casey? And he goes, oh, she said I can't go to Claire's wedding. I'm like, no, she's not. Casey is not like that. Casey would never text GIULIO being like, I'm so sad you can't come. I'm like, absolutely not. So then I'm like, oh, was she sad? And then GIULIO caught himself because that's just such an incorrect description of Casey that he's like, actually, why were we talking? And then you made something up that made complete sense. Yeah, and so I let you have it. And I was like, okay, he passed that round. But it was just so funny because you were like, yeah, she was just sad I couldn't come. So she texted me. I was like, no shot. Casey would never text you that. Like if you texted her from the wedding or messaged her on Instagram or something, she'd be like, haha, sucks you can't be here, loser. Like she would never be like, I miss you ever. Right. She would joke about it. So that led me on a little bit. And then you wanted to dress up nicely and you wanted to take the anniversary really seriously. And I was like, well, how nice are we talking?
But that me tracked.
That was fun.
That made sense to me. Like my little plan felt smart.
I didn't think I was dressing for my engagement. I knew something was up. Like it wasn't
this is
standard.
underwhelming and I want to oversell it so it doesn't feel underwhelming, so that I'm a good partner and that like she feels excited. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it felt like it made sense.
It was on that worked for you and your style. Like you do like not care more about those things, but you're more celebratory of those things. You're more like sentimental than I am generally. So it would make sense that you were like, no, come on, let's take this seriously. When I'm like, oh, okay.
Let's just like, let's be comfortable. And I'm like, no, come on. Like,
let's look nice, whatever.
You want to
which I didn't really,
what should I wear?
Unfortunately.
What should I wear?
Well, I was like...
That was me. I was impersonating myself, by the way, if that wasn't clear.
Oh. Well, I was like, do you want me to wear this or do you want me to wear that? Like, you had to guide me. But
I wanted you to choose because I wanted you to wear what you liked.
It was a very standard. It was a standard. It was good. And I'm glad that I didn't think too much about it because it was supposed to just be normal and a day that you don't expect. So I didn't put much thought into it in a good way.
Dude, I love Nutrafol because I love knowing that no matter what happens with my head and with my hair, I have options and that I don't have to just sit there and be helpless.
Yeah, Nutrafol sets you up for success.
It really does, man. It really does. And Nutrafol is really great because it will help you personalize a program to deal with whatever's going on with you, whether you're concerned about having just a healthier head of hair or if you've noticed any changes, Nutrafol is there for you. And thinning hair is different for men and women. Ryan, I don't know how much you've thought about this.
I think about the men part of the thinning of the hair part.
Yeah, same.
Not so much the women, but it's important.
But shout out to the ladies. Nutrafol has multiple unique formulas to provide exactly what the body needs and what hair needs to grow based on biology, age, and other lifestyle factors. Go to Nutrafol.com to take their hair health wellness quiz and identify causes of your thinning hair. And Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health through whole body wellness.
Don't cheat on that quiz.
Don't cheat on that quiz, folks. And it works. In clinical studies, 72% of men saw more scalp coverage after taking Nutrafol men's hair growth supplements for 6 months, and 86% of women saw improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol women's hair growth supplement for 6 months. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off of your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code OOPS. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code OOPS. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code OOPS.
So then we went to the restaurant, and on the way down, Julia was just like ferociously texting. And I'm like, everyone's being almost normal.
You did say that.
Almost.
You said, what's going on here?
What's going on? Normal enough that if you don't have any inkling that you're going to engage, you would never think anything of it. But if you look at all of those things together, you're like, wait, is something up? But Julio always like pranks me. So I'm like, I'm not thinking that I'm getting engaged. I think that there's like a flash mob that's going to show up at this lunch or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm prepared to be, yeah, no, I kept looking at the door. I'm like, are people going to get up and start dancing? Because I'm like prepared for you to embarrass the shit out of me for our 5-year anniversary, not propose. So I was like, if people start dancing, I'm going to fucking flip. Like, that's how I felt. So no, I'm serious. So
Sorry, can I add something? I'm realizing that the reason that I was so married to the late brunch reservation is because I wanted it to be as private as possible.
Agreed. And I thought that was smart. And we were like the last.
There was only a few people, a couple stragglers.
But we were our own section, which was nice, except for one little couple.
Mike Brick NYC.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Who turned out to be the photographer. And I was also like, I'm like, there's one couple in this area. I'm like, if they wanted to make it private for us, they could have. So then I was like, who is this couple? But then I was like, that's very normal. Like, it is what it is. So we get to the restaurant, and this hit me off. Bless their hearts. Love Vic so much. They were like, they're so sweet. We know the staff there, and they're the best. But I walk in, and they're like, oh, you look beautiful. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like,
yeah, you did. You look
no,
good.
but I'm not in a self-deprecating way. But I'm like, what? Like, we've probably been to Vic's 100 times, and they're always like the sweetest people ever. Like, they might say, oh, I like your dress, or you look cute, or whatever. Like, totally. But it felt more like monumental, and you were like, yep, it's our 5-year anniversary, and they were like, wow. And I was like, okay. And then we sat down, and Julia was like, okay, you sit here, I sit here. And I was like, oh my god, fuck, people are gonna start dancing, aren't they? And he wants me to have like a view. I like literally thought you were gonna prank me with like a flash mob.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know this. Okay.
But then I was like, or he's gonna propose to me in a restaurant, and I'm gonna get really, really, really shy. Like I didn't know which way we were going. And then Julia was like, let's order drinks.
I mean, it's 3 o'clock for crying out loud, huh?
Yeah, but you don't drink. You pride yourself, and I'm sure you talked about on episodes that you don't drink during the day.
But I typically don't like to drink during the day. But it was a special occasion.
Yeah. And I said, okay. And I literally said to him, I was like, you're being so weird that I need a big glass of wine. I'm like, I'm stressed out. I need to prepare myself for whatever is about to happen. So we're drinking, whatever. It starts to like become normal again. I'm like, okay, like normal brunch, like we're having a good time.
So there's a video camera on one of the shelves, and you kept looking around. So anytime you look near the video camera, I don't know if you remember this, I would start air kissing you. I started going.
It's just so standard.
And at one point, I was like, I'm trying to break the world record for air kisses.
What? I didn't hear that.
said.
Oh my god!
I said I'm trying to break the world record for air kisses. I know, it's insane. It sounds insane. It was insane in the moment too. I was really fishing.
Good thing I didn't hear.
She was looking so meticulously around, and like, thankfully there's a lot of like cute little decorative stuff. So like a camera can easily sort of like blend in, but it was a fucking video camera. Like,
I didn't notice.
I know. So,
I didn't notice. I was curious about the other couple, but like not enough. Like I was sort of like letting it go. And I chose the spot that I felt like kind of hid me from the public.
And I very quickly like figured out the blocking in my head. I'm like, okay, does this still work? I'm like, okay, I'll open the camera when I get down.
Yeah. And then you gave me a little gift. A really nice gift, a bracelet. And then you're like,
which you pre-selected.
I didn't like pre-select it. So, okay, let me clarify. We do not pre-select gifts. I mean, sometimes in my family, the gift pre-selection just narrows the margin for error and ensures that you get what you want and that nobody wastes their money. Like, we see it as a nice thing to do.
100%.
What do you want? I want to get you what you want. I'm also very particular, and I don't want to get a gift that is just going to sit in my room and I'm not going to use or wear. Like, that isn't nice to the giver, and it also sort of sucks for the recipient. So I like a surprise gift. I'm not saying I don't, but like I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to know what you're getting. Giulio thinks it's the cardinal sin. Okay. Giulio is like, we will never do predetermined gifts. I will never tell you what I want. You can't tell me what you want. Like, he'll sometimes try to figure it out, but he's like, he will go so ham on just trying to decide for himself because he's indignant that it's just like, you've gotten so much better over the years. But the first, like, what?
Giving gifts?
Yeah.
I fucked up early?
You didn't fuck up early, but you didn't.
I got you a silver thing, which was not a Hillary thing.
You got me early on, and it was so sweet. And in those early stages, of course,
early on.
But you realize over time that there might be like resources you could consult. You might get a sense for my style. You might just actually get some ideas from me, right? But
this comes with experience,
Some might say that you could consult people early and just say like, hey, like, what does that person want? I'm not criticizing the gifts. All I'm saying is that you do not like to have any consultation on a gift.
Well, no, I'll consult others. I don't want to consult you because it's not fun. Because what fun? I
think it's really fun.
Okay, good.
Because if it's fun to be surprised, but it's also really fun to tell somebody, like, to get to know what you're going to get because you want it and you don't want to buy it for yourself. Like, that's also fun. What do you think, Ryan?
I like consulting on it. Too many swings and a miss where it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not. I don't mean it in a rude way.
Guys,
at all.
It's okay. I'm not taking offense to any
Can
of this.
people tell us what you think about this? Do you think it's like sacrilegious to like
Look at
advise?
you, little podcaster.
Yeah. Is it bad to advise or like seek guidance from the recipient? Because gifts should always, the gift is what the giver wants to give. And if they don't like it, whatever, like, so what? Or yeah, which one?
All right. Well, listen, you're a boss. Like, you can get yourself what you want in theory. So like, that makes like the stakes lower for this fun exchange where like, if I happen to mess up sometime, and I typically do well, right?
You always do well. I like over time you started to like get a sense of like what I might want or what I might like. Also, I don't want gifts. I don't actually like really like receiving gifts at all.
I don't like stuff.
I don't really like getting gifts. Cause I do like to get it for myself or whatever. I actually really like giving gifts. So anyway, it seems like this is a problem. I wasn't saying it like that.
I wasn't like, well, you can get it for yourself. No. I was saying it like, I know you're not depending on me to get you the stuff.
No, and I also like picking out stuff. I like getting stuff. And anyway, my point is that I don't want people to think that I'm like, the gifts you get me aren't good. Like, we don't do gifts that often, and I don't actually want gifts, and that doesn't matter. My point is that this bracelet, that's why we
do
talked
gifts
about
often.
This. We do them for occasions.
We do them 4 times a year.
4?
Yeah. Anniversary, birthday, Valentine's Day, Christmas time, holiday season, Christmas/Hanukkah time.
Another question for the crowd. Is that a lot? That's just standard.
That's a lot of gifts, dude.
Okay. Well, anyway.
That's good.
Anyway.
Do you think that's a lot?
I just think that's standard, and gift, by the way, can be anything. It can be from $0 to as many as you want. So.
Well, we get each other little stuff. You always buy me stuff.
Yeah, I'm feeling we maybe need to cut this part.
No, it's fun. Let's let it rock.
I feel gifted. Okay,
bracelet.
Well gifted. Anyway, the point is that the reason I even brought that up is because I wanted to keep this anniversary low key. We've just had like a really big year, lots of events and expenses and all these things. And I was saying, let's keep gifts, under a certain amount, and let's just do casual. I don't want to do a big dinner. Let's just be casual. And so Giulio was like, no, I don't want to like phone it in. And I was like, okay, well, if you like really want to get me something that I want, I have something that's like within the price range that I've shared, which is low. Like I really like this and I'll show it to you, but I don't want you to spend a lot. I don't want you to go out of your way for this. If you really feel inclined to get me something, like there's something I already like that's like within the range that we've agreed on. So do with it what you will. Mm-hmm. And you were like, okay, great. That's what I'll do. And I was like, that's really sweet. It's really sweet. You know, he wants to get me exactly what I want, and he feels insistent on getting it. And now I'm going to get this bracelet that I didn't want to buy for myself. And that's really sweet. And so I was like really pleased about that. And I knew that's what my gift was going to be. And I was like so excited.
Oh, that's fun.
I was so excited for our anniversary because I was going to get this bracelet that I wanted.
Well, maybe I'm now being inconsiderate. I'm making your gift about me because I want to surprise you, but you don't want to be surprised. You just want what you want.
Yeah, well, that's the question for the audience. Like, that's how I don't feel like you're being selfish. I think it's exciting to look forward to something you know you're going to get on a certain date that you otherwise didn't want to buy for yourself, but have really wanted.
Okay, so from now on, you pick your gift, but you can surprise me still.
Joel, this is not a from now on. It's just a conversation. Anyway, and I still do surprise you. Anyway, so I got the bracelet and I was excited about it. And then you started your speech.
How long was my speech? Wasn't too long.
I don't know. I was blacked out. Because you're thinking to yourself, I know that's cliche, but you're like, is this person fucking proposing to me right now? Or are they just like gassing me up? Like, you just don't know. So you're like, wait, what's happening? And I literally started being like, what's happening? The video of me, which is not going anywhere.
I also have full audio. Which
that makes me so uncomfortable.
I know you hate it, but I'm not. I know it's not going anywhere.
Anyway, the video is me being like, as you're talking, I'm like, what? Okay. And then you start getting like really sweet. And so I like lean in a little and I'm like, okay, like it's really sweet. And I'm like, And then you start reaching and I'm like leaning back again. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And you didn't say this, but you might as well have been like, if you would let me tell you what I was doing, you would know what I was doing. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh my God, I'm scared. What's happening? Flipping out. And you're on a knee and the the guy sitting across the way, like pulls out the camera. I'm like, oh shit. What? Like, I'm just like, oh my God, wait, what? Like, I'm like, we're in VIX. Holy shit. Yesterday I was normal. Like, now I'm getting engaged. Like, what is happening? And that was probably my classic, and the ring was so beautiful and you were so sweet. And I just like couldn't believe it. But like, I sort of heard what you said. I heard about like Phil, you mentioned our friend Philip and how you knew from the first date and all these things. But like, then I just kept being like, holy shit, am I getting married? And then it was like a really special moment, whatever. But I had to apologize to the photographer because afterward I was like literally hiding behind GIULIO because I was so like shy and like needed a moment. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm like the worst candidate for this ever because you probably are used to people being like, here's the ring, here's me. Oh my God, white dress, like screaming, crying. And I was just like, hiding behind GIULIO because I just like needed a moment with him to process. But then GIULIO told me that we were meeting my sisters who both live in New York as well, and my brother-in-law Steve for brunch, like at their brunch, to surprise them with our engagement. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, like that is, I like doing the surprising. So I was like, oh, that is my game, that's my shit. And then I'm like, what should we do? What should we do?
And
like,
you just really believed that it was that it was a coincidence that they had texted us for plans?
Completely. Because we talk to them all the time.
Yeah, I know.
What I didn't think was a coincidence is before you proposed, you were like, let's go meet up with Laura, Liza, and Steve after this. And I'm like, you want to hang out with my family on our anniversary? Like, what? Like, we love my family. They're our friend. They're like our friends, you know? But I would assume that we would just spend the day together alone. We hadn't gotten much. We were just with my family the weekend prior. So then I was like, why do you want to be with my family? Okay, yeah. And then you were like, the reason I wanted to be with your family is because we're going to surprise them. They don't know about this. And I was like, oh, genius. Like you've left some juice for me to be a part of this surprise. So it's funny. I start like calling some people and only a couple people.
Can we backtrack 1 second? I thought we had a nice funny moment when I asked you to be my special man.
Tell.
She like that? No, they know.
Oh, they know already.
I told them that I was planning.
It would not be a GIULIO anything without some type of joke, little man or boy man.
I was like, you're my special boy now. I want to make you my special man. Yeah. We had a nice chuckle.
Yes,
it's really fun.
I'm so glad you have the audio for that and that reason only.
Today's episode is sponsored by Acorns. Acorns helps your kids save and invest. Guys, I don't know if you're trying to get your beak wet with investing or saving for your family or whatever it might be. Acorns is a really great way to start.
It's never too late either.
It's just never too late, Ryan. Don't doubt that thought, Ryan. Ryan said it's never too late either. And you know what, Ryan?
That was it. That's all I had to say.
It's
never too late, and that's it. And if that relates to you, then great.
If it relates to you, then great. Acorns, Acorns is very solid. It's amazing how funny repeating something that someone just said can be.
Yeah.
It's quite funny, Ryan.
Yeah.
Quite funny, quite fun.
We love Acorns.
We do. The best part, there's no expertise required. Investments are automatically put into diversified portfolios based on your risk tolerance. Acorns even has exclusive financial education content for your whole family. I know how important it is to save for the future when you have kids, and Acorns can be a crucial tool. The sooner you start investing, the more chance your money has to grow over time. From Acorns, mighty oaks do grow. Head to acorns.com/oops to download Acorns to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid testimonial and may not be representative of all clients. Compensation provides an incentive to positively promote Acorns. View important disclosures at acorns.com/oops. Investment advisory services offered by Acorns Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Brokerage services provided by Acorn Securities LLC, an SEC registered brokerage dealer and member of FINRA/SIPC. For more information, visit acorns.com. Okay, so you start calling people.
Yeah, and so the thing is that I wasn't anticipating my engagement at all whatsoever. Anybody close to me or really not, I think has sort of known that. So I didn't expect them to know about it. I thought that this was just something that was like completely like private between us. And of course, I should have occurred to me that they probably knew. And I thought maybe they knew, but they didn't know exactly when it was happening or whatever.
Right.
So I start calling people.
You started asking me that too. You're like, does so-and-so know? And
I was like, who knows? And and then some people you were like, I don't know. Like maybe blah, blah, blah told them, so on and so forth. But I call like my friend Emily, who I knew was involved, and she was like so excited, real reaction. And it wasn't like the FaceTime, like here's the ring. Like I was just calling people because I wanted to just tell them that we were engaged.
talked about that too, which is funny because if I had known that you were going to call and not FaceTime, I wouldn't have told people not to answer.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I was inaudible.
Well, the like hand up ring in the photo, like let me FaceTime and everybody screenshot and put on their story, like is so cute. And I've done it for so many friends. It's just like not me. So I didn't feel the need to FaceTime because I knew I would see people later and show them the ring and whatever. Like it was more just about letting people know we were engaged, which is what's exciting, not the ring, because the ring's for me. So that's my philosophy on it.
Love it. And you. Love it and you.
And so I forgot where I was going. So anyway,
we're in the car. We're calling people.
Well, no, it's funny because I called my parents and they didn't answer. And that would probably tip people off, but it made me like laugh because I'm like, classic. Like nobody's expecting this. Like everyone's so cash. Like, you know, I call my parents, I don't even answer. Like nobody's around because it's Saturday afternoon and no one thinks I'm getting engaged. Like that not answering to me was so classic. Like that did not tip me off at all. It substantiated the idea that like nobody knew about this. And so, because like, why would they answer? They're busy. And so we get to the restaurant where I thought my sisters were having brunch, and I'm like about to be like to Giulio, like, should I just keep my hand down so they don't even notice? Like, should I just like, I was like preparing my surprise, and I walked into the classic surprise party with my parents were in town, my childhood friends were in town, college friends were there. Not all of them and not everybody, like just a few sprinkled in. A lot of people were of course busy that weekend, and I would have never wanted anybody to like make a cross country trek for that. Like I see them all the time and I love them. So the people that could be there, it was so great. And there's so many more times to celebrate. But it was so shocking and surprising and really overwhelming. Like you see people crying in those circumstances, and I'm a crybaby as it is, like for happy, sad, I'm just really emotional. But I can see why people who are not typically emotional would cry in that circumstance too, because it's so being caught off guard to that degree. Most people I feel like now know when they're getting engaged or have some part in like planning it or picking their ring or whatever. So maybe it's not as big of a surprise. I always laugh when I see people who fully knew they were getting engaged who are like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, but now I understand, even if you did know, it's such a moment. Like you're like, this is something I've thought about or I've wanted or I didn't think about. So now I'm seeing it and it's here and it's so emotional because you're just so many things at once. And so for me, it was a whole slew of events and experiences that I did not expect in general. And I didn't expect for myself when it happened, that I was so overwhelmed with emotion and excitement and just like, it was chaotic. I was chaotic. And we got some beautiful pictures, and we all came back to our apartment and, you know, partied the night away. But I was joking, like, you know, I'm so bad at like transitions and things that are new. Like, I'm like, wait, I need to process. Hold on 1 second. Let me understand every single thing about this. So like everybody had all this time to process, and I'm just processing now. So when the party was over and my parents were leaving, I was like, wait, Dad, like, don't leave me. I'm like, oh my God, you're dropping me off for marriage. Like, it felt like, you know, leaving for college or something when your parents like leave your dorm room. I'm like, wait, where are you going? Like, don't leave me with this man. Like, I'm like, you know, I'm like, I'm not old enough. I'm not ready. But of course I'm ready. Like, that's like, I'm just joking. And my dad's like pushing me back into, you know, I'm like obviously been drinking and like, but you know, it's so emotional. You're like, wait, where are you going? Holy shit. Like, you're just leaving me to get married. Like, Dad, don't you care? And so that was funny. He was like, and then my sister quickly, like, you know, brought me back to reality. She's like, if you're not old enough to get married, I'm not old enough to have a baby. She's having a baby in 3 weeks. And I'm like, correct. And then I felt much better.
Nice. Very reassuring words.
Yeah. It's just so funny. Like this idea of dropping you off for marriage and like leaving you. And you're like, oh my God, wait, what? Is everything different now? Yeah. And of course it's not. And it's so exciting. And I'm really excited to plan a wedding because I love a party. And it'll be a really big, great party. I think we're gonna have like so much fun planning it. I don't think we're gonna find it as stressful as most. I think it's gonna be really fun to like get creative because we're not as traditional, I feel like, as most couples are. So cool. Anyway, that's my long-winded story.
Hell yeah.
Did I cover the bases?
Yeah, you crushed it. I mean, any other final thoughts?
I don't think so. I mean, it's become such a like public and popular thing to sort of document and talk about and prepare for and bond over. And I would say that everyone should like do what they think is best for themselves. But, you know, if you're happy in your relationship and you're confident in your relationship, then like you don't necessarily like need all of those things to make it even better. That's how I felt. And so it feels like a cherry on top, right? Totally. It doesn't feel like, you know, on the flip side of my joke about my dad leaving me, like it doesn't feel that different because we like are married. Do you know what I mean? Like it's exciting because it's just this extra thing to like confirm what we already knew and felt versus like something that you need for security or something that you need to like flip a switch in your relationship or take you into the next phase. So it's nice to feel like really, oh, nothing's different except I just have this like really, really, really beautiful thing to look at as like a reminder of that commitment. And also as like a sick piece of jewelry because I wear a lot of jewelry and it's really, really fun.
Hell yeah.
And I love it. So anyway, I don't know. I feel like I'm not
it's great.
describing very well. And
crushed it.
So anyway.
Yeah.
And we appreciate like, I mean, I've never seen, at least in my world, so many comments and like the messages that GIULIO was getting and that I was getting from some of you guys are like so, or some of the listeners are like so moving and sweet and the community seems truly excited and that is so appreciated. Totally. Even though I am a little shyer. So it's like taking me a second to process and now here I go again back on social media clips.
Well, we'll see. We'll try to
I have PTSD from the last time even though most of them were nice, but I'm like, oh my God, what? What? I'm not a public facing persona. I'm in the back. So anyway.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, honey. Love you. Thanks for giving us the scoop and hopefully we'll convince you to come back on again in the future sometime.
All right. If you start paying me.
All right.
This is kind of payment.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm just kidding. Okay, bye.
Oh, wait, real quick. I just want to tell you there was...
Sorry, Ryan.
No, this was quick. There was a night when GIULIO had to leave early.
Oh, I know.
And I was in the apartment. When I saw you, I wanted to throw up because I just felt like it was just going to come out of my mouth.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
Hi, GIULIO. What's going to propose to you? Bye. I was hiding behind the door.
Okay, so you were hiding behind the door. And it's funny because you were short with me, but not in a way that I was like, what the hell? That was like it wasn't rude, it wasn't inappropriate, it wasn't like inconsiderate. It just you were ready to go. And I was thinking to myself, and I might have even like said to you, I was like, Ryan should feel very comfortable here. Like you don't have to be here. Like I was worried you felt uncomfortable being here past when GIULIO was here. And so I'm like to GIULIO, I'm like, poor Ryan. Like, I'm like,
No.
you know, he can fucking sleep over, you know? And I was thinking to myself that you were being short, but I thought that you thought that I didn't want you at the apartment. And I'm like, no, open the fridge, bro. Like,
Yeah, no. And I do feel comfortable. I thought that you thought that I thought that you thought
That we
I
thought
was not
that he
welcome
thought.
with Giulio not being
And
here.
I thought,
that is what I thought that you thought that I thought that you thought that we thought.
Exactly.
And I think that we think that, but we feel better now.
Now we think that. Now we know.
Now we know that
Now
we
we
don't
know.
think that. We did think that, and now we don't think that.
that was awesome.
So.
Very Seinfeld.
We do a lot of thinking
Yeah.
here,
Awesome.
here in this room. Okay,
That's
bye-bye.
Love you. Ciao.